girlfriend cheated on him, you know, who's a single father struggling at a dead-end job. And then you've got Eminem, who's both of them. You know, he's kind of the mastermind constructing how he's going to tell you his story and how he's going to, you know, kind of take over.
The Marshall Mathers LP was released on the 23rd of May 2000 and became an instant hit with audiences and critics across the world.
Well, the Marshall Mathers LP is the one that really kind of gets to the raw, hurt guy, you know, inside of Eminem, Marshall, Shady, inside the triumvirate. You know, it's a record about really about his growing up. More so, you know, I guess you could say that all of the records are about that. But that record really investigates sort of pain and suffering, the hard times, the anger, the jealousy, the frustration, all of the toughest, most frustrating aspects of his character and things he's endured.
It's an album with much sort of darker tones, you know, and you think of like things like The Way I Am, and it's got that kind of grinding, seething, relentless, remorseless quality. It's almost like purgatorial, you know. And then you've got a song like Stan, you know, which is very much about... I mean, Stan is a kind of interesting one because in some ways, one of the messages that Eminem is constantly putting out through his music is, you know, it's an insult to my fans so they don't have the intelligence to distinguish between, you know, the Slim Shady fantasy and real lives. The idea they're going to run amok like a pack of sort of Pavlovian hounds and go out and sort of commit mayhem is an absolute nonsense. You know, and that's his message to the... You know, well, in a sense, to both right and left who object to Eminem for various different ways. And so you've got that message going, but then you've got, what's weird is you've got Stan, which is one of his greatest songs, which in a sense is almost saying the opposite. It's talking about imagining somebody who's so deeply touched and affected by Eminem, this guy has obviously got issues of his old, goes out and emulates him. You know, and that's, you know, but that's all part and parcel, you know, that's all part of the contradiction, whatever, that is at the heart of Eminem a lot of the time. And the paradox. But essentially, yes, that album is the one that, for people like me, perhaps, who didn't think that Eminem was for real, well, this is for real.
With the release of the new album, it was becoming clear that a cast of characters drawn from Marshall Mathers' life were beginning to reoccur in Eminem's work.
I think one of the things that makes Eminem extraordinary as an artist, as a rapper, is that most celebrities, they might well have issues in their lives, issues with their family, issues with loved ones, or, you know, people are romantically involved in, that they would really, there's a great deal of speculation about it, but they absolutely have they stonewall, no comment. Stuff leaks out about it through, you know, whatever, into the sort of tabloids or whatever. But as far as the people themselves are concerned, there's no comment, and what they would say is that, you know, I do my work and my private life is an absolutely separate thing. And of course, Eminem his work is his private life. I mean, nobody has kind of made the stuff of their art and their work, you know, their most private relationships and the turmoil and strife of their private relationships.
The way certain figures, the three members of his family and a sort of a revolving cast of enemies continue to play in all the records is a pretty interesting achievement as well. And nobody else has done it. I mean, some people say, get off it already, but to be honest with you, I think he doesn't really have the choice. That's my impression. I just think it speaks well of how he creates his work, rather than signifying that he's limited and he's going to do one thing. I think it says that he really does reach inside of himself to make this music, and that's a positive thing.
The 2002 album, The Eminem Show, became another huge success, further solidifying the star's position as the most successful rapper in the world.
His life changed a lot between Marshall Mathers and The Eminem Show. It stabilized, you know, he almost went to jail. He kind of sobered up, quit partying. He started acting more responsibly. And I think that as his life stabilized, the music has changed. You know, The Eminem Show, he also did what he had done on every other record, which is tell everyone the story of his life. But he told it in a very clear, very distinct fashion on The Eminem Show that let, you know, a lot of new fans just come right into Eminem land, whereas older fans had already kind of heard the stories and just heard them again in a different way. On the Eminem Show is the first album that has all the lyrics printed. It's a very easy entree into Eminem world. He's also, on songs like Cleaning Out My Closet, he's rapping much slower than he's capable of, and very clearly saying what he has to say. And his metaphors aren't as kooky. They're, like, you know, very clear. I think it was a deliberate attempt, after being misunderstood, while being such an honest artist in your art, to literally let everyone know, here's who I am, this is my story.
The Eminem Show, you've had Slim Shady, you've had Marshall Mathers, now it's the third part of the trilogy, it's Eminem, who in a sense is the kind of unifying force, you know, the show was Eminem. It's an album in which I think he absolutely realises, and he's complete confidence about the kind of power he wields as beyond just a sort of a rapper, but as a kind of major global celebrity phenomenon. And I think he's, you know, on the one hand, kind of excited, at the same time very disaffected by that. You know, he obviously always had this kind of very energetically ambivalent attitude towards his own stardom. I mean, you know, obviously he resents the kind of the intrusion. It's also an album, I think, in which there's a kind of closure occurs. I think with Cleaning Out My Closet, which basically everything, matters are now settled between him and his mother. It's almost like that kind of like the Godfather 2 things. Over. There is a sense of that going on with his mother. You know, the lawsuit has been declared. There's no access anymore, and things. And there's, you know, and there's going to be closure with Kim as well, which it provides a very, very stark, stone cold kind of definitive moment. You know, towards the conclusion of that song, where it says, you know, you're dead, you're nothing to me. It also raises the issue of what Eminem is going to do after this. It almost like you think, well, this has been the stuff of his career thus far. He's got no more material. What's he going to do next?
What Eminem did was release 2004's Encore. However, the album was less successful than the previous 3 records.
Encore is a perfect name for this record. You know, what do I do? It's an answer to the question, what do I do for an encore? That question, you know, you've already done everything, what do you do for an encore? Well, a little less of the same, but very well. It's in many ways his most childish and scatological record, and I think that's a good thing to do. I prefer him being childish and scatological to him being some sort of conflation of Kiss and REM, which is what happens on show, on the Eminem Show. I think all the toilet bowl, diarrhea, vomiting stuff, which really annoyed people, well, just think about it. It was an accomplishment for Eminem to really annoy people at this stage in his career. He actually succeeded in outraging them again. They didn't notice. They just, oh, he's over. You know, what can I say? I think that's incredibly stupid. I think this, by any objective standard, is a really good record.
Encore saw the rapper taking a different direction in his lyrics. It was becoming clear that Eminem was beginning to look outside his own life for inspiration.
This is a guy that has expressed everything there is to express about himself, and I think he's starting to look outwards. You know, we have the song Mosh, which is like the most political he's ever been, which is great. You know, I think that is the kind of thing he should be doing. And the fact that there is, that there is an explicitly political song on it, it's no different than that there was an explicitly political song on the previous records as well. I mean, he was putting down the war in the previous record on Square Dance. I think a lot of people aren't even aware that he did it, but it's right there, and his fans know it. So Mosh is that kind of a song, more so. And you know, when I heard it, and it came out before the record did it, I had hopes. I hate the war. I would love him to be an effective political leader. We need them. I was hoping he would try and do it, and I think he's talented enough that he might actually manage it. It's a very difficult thing to do for an artist, but he did not try.